stuff, but I feel like it's probably around 50% of the time, or maybe a little less, that he's reacting to other dogs.
Okay.
I also have started to notice that like he's not really giving a warning when he's reacting. It's kind of just like he's fine, and then all of a sudden he's like reacting.
Right. So, because there's a lot of signs to reactivity. So, I know a lot of people say like it's either unpredictable or like, there are no signs.
Yeah.
And there are.
Yeah.
It's just like, are you seeing them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just feel like before they were so much more obvious, I guess. Whereas like now I feel like they're not.
Are you walking past or still sitting back?
Most of the time sitting on the side.
Okay, cool. So, when he's being reactive, are you noticing it? Either like is it more often than not he's being reactive when you're walking, or is it when you're set aside? Is it 50-50?
When we're set aside.
Okay. So, what about when you try to walk past?
If there's enough room, he's fine. But yeah, typically we sit on the side. There's only been a few times that I've walked past.
When you see the explosions, have you ever noticed if it's towards the end of a walk, or
no,
it can be beginning or end?
Yeah.
Because some things that can happen is what we call stacking, is where the owner said, the dog was great, I saw 20 dogs, no problem, and then blew up.
So it first started, so I took him for like a really long walk. We probably went on like 3 miles or so. We went to go work on recall, and I went the wrong way, so I was like, whatever, we'll just go on to the park down there. We worked on recall, and then we just like kept walking for a while. I was down by my work, and I was like, to pee, I'm getting some water, so I stopped over there. My boyfriend works there, he knows my boyfriend, obviously, so he came outside and like held Ollie while I went inside and grabbed water and went to the bathroom. And Jake, my boyfriend, was like holding him, I don't know, like he was probably like this on the sidewalk, and then, or kind of like turned backwards, and someone came up behind and Ollie bit a bystander. And I don't know if it was more so because like I walked away, and that I'm sure that had a lot to do with it, but I think it also was because his back was turned, and like the person kind of came out of nowhere. He was fine, everything was fine, I couldn't file anything or whatever. He kind of just walked away after it. I didn't even see it, I didn't even see the guy, like he was already gone by the time I came back out. So that kind of initially started it, and I was like, okay, maybe it was a fluke thing, we'll let it go, like keep going. Like he was fine the whole walk. It was like a mile and a half there and a mile and a half back. He was totally fine with me the whole way there. We had like one reactive moment, but that was the other dog reacting to him too. But we passed like at least 20 dogs. Like he did great. The sidewalks were wider, so it was nicer. I didn't have to like. We just kept walking past. We didn't sit on the side for those. But that kind of started it, and then ever since then, there's been like a few other moments when I'm like walking at home and he's like freaking out.
Okay, so let's go back again, right?
Okay.
So everything was going good.
Yeah.
And then we had that bite. Okay, so you're explain that situation to me again.
So we were walking for a while. We stopped at Gaslight. I left him with Jake outside. I went inside.
Okay.
Jake said that his back was kind of turned. It was like sideways on the sidewalk, and then someone came up from behind that he didn't see, and then Ollie like all of a sudden lunged up and like bit his arm.
Okay. Did the person say anything to like Jake or to Ollie?
Well, Jake was like, "Are you okay?" And then he's like,
No, I mean precursor. Like, was he like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
No.
Nothing. So he just came out.
Not that I'm aware of. He's
but
like,
Ollie's back was turned to the person.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And this is what time?
8:30 p.m.
Okay, so late.
Yeah, it was dark.
Sure. How is that area there? Is it highly trafficked or?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's busy.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, what day was this? Friday, Saturday?
It was I don't know, Wednesday maybe?
On Wednesday, okay. So probably not as busy, but busy area. Gotcha. So Jake's got he's got his back turned. Somebody comes up from behind. He turns around. He lunges. Everything's okay. But you were inside. You come back. And then on the walk home, reactivity to another reactive dog.
There was one,
Yeah, and
but
then
out of however many.
So after that moment is when you start to see a decline in his behavior.
Yeah, he was fine on the way home for the most part.
Right, but like in terms of his reactivity.
Oh yeah, from there, ever since then it started to go downhill. Then there's been like multiple moments of.
So for Jake, we would need to update him on how to handle Ollie, or he doesn't handle Ollie. I'm sure he's aware of the e-collar and stuff. How
he
does
had
he
the
feel
remote
about
in
it?
his hand and stuff. He's fine. He's still learning, obviously, but like, I'm trying to, keep him up to date with stuff as I can.
For sure.
I more so like he usually comes with me to walk Ollie, but like I'm just protective. I don't usually let him do it, and I know with like the remote and stuff, he kind of like he won't really know when I'm tapping and stuff, so he doesn't fully understand the whole process behind it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So that all makes sense to me.
Yeah.
In terms of the decline.
Yeah.
So what I would do here is one for Jake. It's tough.
Yeah.
Because relationships.
Yeah.
Right. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but it could work, it could not work, right? So it's like you spend all this time teaching, and then it's like, okay, now I'm back to like square one, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's just kind of the way of it.
Yeah.
So what I would do is, let's say that happens again, where it's like I'm gonna have to pass Ollie off, have the muzzle him up, okay? Because you had now like 10 or so weeks of working with me, me educating you, building on negative experiences, building on positive experiences, right?
Yeah.
And I'm all about educating you on how we handle a dog like Ollie.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, for this guy, it's like crash course into what Ollie is.
Yeah.
And you can't crash course a dog like this.
Yeah.
Okay? So, in terms of why that happened, it makes a lot of sense. With you being absent, he goes under more stress.
Right.
8:30 at night, somebody came up from behind. I'm not saying his response is acceptable. I'm just saying I understand why it happened, right? And I understand why Jake wouldn't anticipate it. Because he's thinking like, just like have a dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, because the first thing I'm thinking, I'm like, well, how short was the leash? How was he able to get that far to a person? Yeah. But again, he doesn't know that stuff, right? Like you've learned I step aside.
Well, and the first thing he said to me was like, well, I was tapping and it wasn't doing anything. I was like, well, you just like tap and pull at the same time. It's not like a magic fucking button.
Yeah. Well, you have to contain, right? But, I get it. Like,
I know.
Sure.
I wasn't mad at him.
No,
I
completely
the whole situation.
get it.
But I mean, in the beginning, he thought like I was overreacting with Ollie. I was like, now you see why I can't, like why the rules are so specific with him. Like it has to stay that way.
Yes.
Like,
and the other thing is, like, let's say with Jake, and this is just as an example, I'm not saying that this is what it is, but that, like, let's say Jake is, like, very affectionate with Ollie and, like, very loose with him because he sees that side of Ollie.
Right.
Is for Ollie, he's going to feel less safe with Jake then because he's just thinking, you're my buddy, you're not an authority.
Yeah, we're working on that too.
Yeah.
You gotta
That's a big factor with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because obviously you've had to step into that role and you yourself, just kind of working through that process.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. In terms of the regression in behavior, that also makes sense to me, right? Because something happened, and I know a lot of times when people see their dog bite and stuff, and the dog really doesn't want to do it. Just did it because he felt he had to within the moment, and then it creates more stress afterwards. So it's kind of like with people, like some people can get in a fight and no big, they walk away with it, no problem. And some people get in the fight and they're trembling and they're shaking and they're crying and they're like freaked out, like I don't want to get in a fight, right? Because they're not built for it. That like they're not wanting that, right? So what happens for the dog then is if that happens, then that stress stays unresolved, and now we're seeing all the other stuff. Okay. In terms of the reactivity, when he's become reactive, what's your number been?
I bumped it up. I'm at 124.
Yeah, 124. Okay.
Yeah, I went up to 127 once. He started yelping, so I went down a little bit. We were at 114.
Yeah, I remember that. Right. Now, when he's having the reactive moments, are you finding now again you're struggling with getting him to stop?
When I was at 114, yeah, that's why I bumped it up.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. It almost seemed like last night he flipped out at a dog, and it was like he was sitting like this, and he was just like looking like he wanted to react. So I started tapping, and then he flipped out. It's like it almost.
Oh sure, yeah. It triggered. Yeah. That's normal.
Okay.
So what happens is, if that happens, because he's already thinking about it, it can push the behavior.
Okay.
You just keep that pressure on because he's thinking. It's super common.
Yeah.
This is why you'll read stuff that says don't use e-collar on dogs, it makes it more aggressive.
Yeah.
It's because if he's already thinking about it and that happens, it's just here I go.
Okay.
So then I keep the pressure on until he learns like, oh, tap doesn't mean go.
Yeah.
Tap means no.
Yeah.
Right? And then they'll start to cut the crap.
Okay.
It happened to me yesterday. I have actually, once your video goes up, if you would send me an email to remind me, I'll try to remember. But her reactive dog is like crazy.
Okay.
And you see us tap and it escalates the dog and we shut it down.
Yeah.
And as we progress in the lesson, you start to see that the tap just like gets the dog to disengage. Okay? So let's keep tabs on what the 124 does or whatever. All this stuff makes sense to me because of what happened. I would make it a rule of when Jake is going to be past Ollie, you muzzle up Ollie. Okay? That's going to take, like it's complicated because it's like how much you can actually teach him, how well is he going to reinforce it, For me, like if I was there, I would have taken Ollie and been like, I want to see this. I don't want it to be stuck on, so my back's to the street. I'm not really expecting it's possible, but this is where the traffic is, right? But he's not going to know that. So,
my sister does the same thing. Like I come home and the remote's down to 110, and I was like, why did you turn it down? She's like, oh, just I'm like, no, it's just, you don't touch it. Like leave it, whatever you see that, just don't touch it. Like just leave it. So,
welcome to having a dog with other people.
She doesn't walk them often, but like sometimes when I work late or whatever, like I need her to.
For sure.
So.
No, I get it. Anything else?
No, I guess one somewhat good thing. It was like really dark out. We passed the dog that was behind a fence. He flipped out, and then we went by the second time totally fine. So that was like pretty quick to recover. So I felt like that was good, I guess.
Sure.
But
yeah, for sure.
The other dog was also not reactive at all, so I think that played a factor.
And then him being reactive to other reactive dogs is normal.
Yeah, it was like two little shit dogs just freaking going psycho at him. So
for sure. And if you need help in home, like I can send Enrique again.
Yeah.
So that's no problem. Okay. Let's keep tabs on that.
Okay.
If needed, I have a spare 3500 that I was able to pick up.
Okay.
So I actually have one that someone gave to us, and I just had it on reserve in case I come across a client where I'm like, they absolutely need it.
Yeah.
But I have one that I could borrow you if you want to test it in comparison.
Yeah. So you think I would need to be like the 80s, 90s on that one?
That's how that would work out.
Okay.
Exactly, right? But so I could borrow you one of our company ones, and then so there's no commitment. Like here, just try this out, test it out, and if you're like, yeah, Jesse, I'm at 80 now.
Yeah.
So now that gives you 47 more levels. Okay. And if you're like, if we get a couple weeks of consistency, and you're like, I would like to purchase one, I have one that the owner only used like once or twice. So she felt really bad about it. So she never committed to the training. So I have that I kept on reserve for someone. Okay. So you're not out of luck when it comes to that. Okay. Anything else? Alrighty. Anything particular you'd like to work on? Because we can try. I don't know. Today's not been so busy with this with dogs. We get him on occasion here, but he's actually. I've not seen reactivity other than like a couple of moments from him.
He's usually okay here.
And this you can remote as well.
Yeah. I did it in the car. See, like, once we started in the car, full on drive.
Gotcha. And then you calm them down?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. How many classes on recall did we do? Just the one? Just the one? Okay. Let's grab my stuff. We'll go down right here, that little spot. All right. Okay. Recall tends to take people the longest, so I'm not surprised. I'm not worried about it. What we're going to do is we're just going to see what you remember, how you've been practicing it, and then we're going to work on the second half of it. You drive, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted to try out that collar, I can let my employees know, and then you can just swing by and pick it up.
Okay. Do you think I should? Like, are you recommending that I should try it?
Why not?
Okay.
I mean, there's no commitment.
Yeah.
You know, it's the collar that we use for training at my place.
Yeah.
I have a few of them. Right, there you go. Because the sooner you start that process, the sooner you're gonna know, like, yeah, this is another option for me.
Yeah.
And you can always try it, and then you try it for a couple of weeks, and then you don't get it till like later or whatever if needed. So, all right. So I'm gonna hold Ollie here, and then you'll take the end of the long leash. He's got a lot of tension.
Is it okay that he's standing now? Sit. Done. Good.
What's your number?
124.
Did you tap there at all?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna check something here. Want to release break?
Break.
Perfect. I'm gonna tighten this.
Okay.
That's 124.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was long. Oh, and by the way, I mean, if you can, let's say the 3500 works, whatever,
Yeah.
right? But I was gonna say, if we couldn't get one, I have a spare, obviously.
Yeah.
You always put 2 colors.
Yeah.
So there's always a solution, but it just looks stupid because now you got
600 collars.
200 2 boxes on it. Okay.
Done.
Good.
Good.
We're gonna put them on the heel. Take your leg, your leash drag. Drop the left hand.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
You just hold the handle, let the rest go. Yeah. So just hold the end.
This
Let the
end?
handle, yeah. And then just heel forward and let it drag.
Heel.
Yep.
Heel.
It's alright. I was just trying to see something. Yeah. I would say if you can grab that 3500.
Okay.
That's well, and I've seen this even since from before when we did the down, because I remember we had to go to 105, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't really phasing them. So see what happens with that.
Done.
Good.
Good.
Well, that looks good. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add an extra step.
Okay.
So when you do the recall,
Yeah.
let's say you call Ollie, right? Comes to you. If you were to move, what do you think you should do? Correct. He would stay with you. Okay. So the recall, kind of like with the heel. Heel means walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. Recall is come to me, stay with me, sit when I stop as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna the same thing. We're just gonna add in an extra step. No, just like there.
Oh. Usually
I feel like it's like underwear, you know?
I know, it is.
So you're gonna call Ollie. He's gonna arrive.
Okay.
Put that butt down, and then what we're gonna do is you're gonna move in any direction but forward. Okay. So if Ollie lands to your left,
Yeah.
you would move like that.
Okay.
You can move backwards.
Okay.
You even angle it out.
Okay.
Okay. Any direction but forward, like because if he came to you and you move like this, what does this look like? Yes. Okay. The other thing you want to avoid is turning like this, because that's going to be forward like, right?
Okay.
So if I'm going to go to the right, I go like this, and I don't do the turn because I don't know if he's defaulting with the recall,
Yeah.
or if he's going into a heel.
Okay.
Okay. So everything else stays the same, and I'll coach you through it.
Okay.
So go ahead and release him.
Okay.
Break, break. Now keep your leash slack.
Okay.
Now take 3 steps. There you go. 2, 3. Hold right there. Tap. Now back. 1, 2, 3. That's good. Hold. And then try to angle it back and right.
Like go sideways, diagonal?
There you go, like that. Tap. Good. There we go. Good. So here, this is all implied. Once you call him, if you move, automatically, I don't care how, and I don't care where he lands, but like see how close he is, how he's on your hip? I want within that 2 to 3 foot range, very close, okay? So here, the reason, what's up?
He gets very close.
The reason why we want this tightness, and the reason why I do this exercise is 2 things. One, if I call him, let's say from like a squirrel or something, much less likely to take off again, okay, because he's so close. 2, if I move from Ollie and I tap him, he might get confused and take off. So it allows us to force that confusion to work him through it so that he learns that remote never means run away. Remote always means to come to you. Okay? So 2 more of those. So at least
3. Good. Good.
good. Right backwards. Side, that's fine. Good.
No, we're not starting that shit. Stop.
There you go. Back. Tap. Tap. Good. Good. One more. Tap. Tap. Good. There you go. Good. Free.
Free. Come.
Tap,
Hey.
tap, tap, tap. There you go. Tap. Good.
Good.
That's crazy. He's very
Not
tough.
Huh?
Very physically tough.
Yeah.
Okay. Tap, 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 tap. There you go. Good. Good.
Good.
Tap. Good. One more. Tap.
Good.
Good. We'll do a couple more. Free.
Free. Free.
I was pulling that further from you. There you go.
Come.
Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap. Tap. Good. Good. One more.
Free.
Tap, 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 back, back, tap. There you go.
Doesn't matter what side he's sitting on? Okay.
Yeah, I just care that he's within that immediate space.
Okay.
So he's really good. Tap, tap. Good. Good. Heel forward.
Heel.
All right, so pretty simple addition to the recall, okay? So that's the second half of it, just to help prevent premature runaways, but then also to create some confusion. So like right there where he got stuck, which by the way, like by now, especially with the power that you're at, he should just be going on it, right? And like I know that dog over there serving as a distraction. So these are things that I'm just kind of picking up on. Kind of like that one time when we were downing him, we were at 105, and I used that. I was like, hey, just to get him to lay down, it was 105. Imagine what it would be before we adrenalized. So, questions about that? Pretty simple. This stuff you would only incorporate on occasion, because if you drill this out too much and you're trying to get him to like practice the recall, he's not going to want to leave your side. Okay, so just throw this in intermittently. The moment you move, Ollie should already be moving as well. Okay, if you see him taking like a split second or longer, kick in with that remote, because then you're going to end up creating a delay. So if you like move away and then land and then tap, you're creating that I move, wait, then tap, and I want him to start moving the moment you move. Okay. When you do your training, are you typically it's just you for the recall? Yeah, because he wouldn't leave, or
he just like every time I try to like make him stand and decide to like follow me right away before I can do the leash like all the way out. Like you know how like with you trying to run to me, just like that, it's automatically trying to run to me.
Yes, that's
so
why.
We had a couple good ones, and then we left that for that time. My sister came with me one other time.
Okay.
And it was better then.
Does he have any interest in the environment whenever you take him and release him? That he just sticks to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what you'll want to do here is... Okay. Has he always been like the type to want to like stick to you? Okay. Because we have two things here. We have like him being just like a Velcro dog, but then also the remote is adding that other layer of like being close to mom is a good thing. So what I would focus on is rebuilding the comfort of like, yes, you can be free, and then using the environment, like if there's bunnies. So like if I have a dog that's struggling with leaving my side, I will intentionally like walk by bushes, walk by trees, tree with squirrels, all that stuff, to incentivize the dog to explore, to sniff, and then I ignore them. Because if like let's say the first time you see him do it and you're like, oh that's good, I'm gonna call him now. Yeah. He's not gonna want to do anything because he's like shit.
You were I watched stuff, but like more in like the area. Like even if like these are my dad's backyard, I was like let him run. Like I'm not out there, you just want to like be outside.
Sure. Yeah, because the attachment stuff. Right. Okay. Is there? I can't remember what's near you, like park-wise.
We ended up walking down to. I don't know, it was at Diversity in Sheridan.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's where we meet up for the walks and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's right there. Yeah, sure. So you went there, you put him on the long leash, and then you were just like walking, exploring with him?
Well, no, I mean, we were doing like the recall stuff. But,
gotcha.
Like, I'm just saying like from past, not recent experiences, but just past experiences in general, when using open land. He will stick around a little bit, but weird about like if I'm not out, if you can't see me in the sight, then you just like go back inside. Like my mom has like acres and I let him run. He's sitting in the porch that he can walk out.
Right, and he doesn't have separation anxiety, right, in the home?
I mean, it's better than it used to be. Like he doesn't cry and shake when I first leave, even if like Allison or someone else is
Yeah, it's separation anxiety, but it's not like the classic, like barking for 10 hours type of deal. I got you. But the fact that he's like going under that much stress when you're leaving, I mean, again, that whole incident, like makes total sense to me. Okay, so now we're aware of that we want to plan for that. We gotta. I'm keeping an eye on it. You call your dog. Looks like he's more in tune with the squirrel. We'll get this finished up too here. Go ahead and shorten the leash just in case. You don't know how many times I've seen dogs take off across the street, across the park towards the street after a squirrel. Okay. What I would do is if you walk over to Diversity in Sheridan, give him the full slack of the leash and just wander to see if he gets any trust to like just do so. Sounds like you got an anxious Velcro dog. Not too sure if that's actually gonna work out for you the way we want it to. Okay? I'm not a big fan of stationary sits to the recall because it's not realistic. I understand why you did it because it's all you have. Okay, questions about that stuff. So one way that we can make this more realistic is if you have someone to help you to take, and have we done that the walkaways with Ollie? Did we do that last time? Where I took him and I would walk away with him and call him as I'm walking?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I'm going to show you that.
Okay.
So that's one way that we can make the recall more realistic. Is if if he won't naturally go off and wander and stuff, then because what we're trying to replicate is calling Ollie when he's actively moving away from you, because that's typically when people are needing to use the dog's chasing something, running towards something they shouldn't, running away because they're scared. It's usually some kind of away motion. Okay, so if we're practicing from stationary, that's why if you get really good dogs, I can say a controlled context where it's like, yes, there's rabbits, and I can let Ollie chase and go towards the rabbits and call him from that. Then that gives me something to work with. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll have you go that way. Actually, we'll go that way. I'm going to walk towards this way, but keep an eye on this dog, okay? You're going to hold the end of your leash. Yeah. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to start side by side. We're going to walk this way. Yeah. So I'm going to have you call up this way so he's not coming that way. Okay. So I'll have you a little bit more. There we go. And then you're going to go to face this way. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to start beside you. And as I'm walking away with Ollie, so I'm not going to say heel, okay? I'm just going to walk with Ollie. About 10 to 15 feet in is when we want to do the recall, the remoting, and the backing up.
I just take on the remote?
Correct.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is as I'm walking away with him and he's moving with me, we're practicing that recall in that away motion. Okay? Trying to make it more realistic. So if like your sister can help you or Jake, whatever, since we can't get the, be free type of stuff, you have to force the context. So we may see some confusion in the beginning. You might see Ollie actually trying to move more closer to my left leg. As part of the process, I'm just going to keep walking. And when you call him, Ollie come and remoting, you'll be moving back as well. Okay? So ideally, we want him to turn around before the tension kicks in. We want him to respond to the cue or to the remote. Okay? We're going to get some confusion. It's normal. He's going to figure it out. We keep practicing. And then, we're hoping to see as I'm walking with Ollie, when you call him, just boom, right away turns around. Okay? Ready? All right. So now I'm walking, and you would call about here. Tap, back, tap, right. And don't worry about the side step now. Okay? Because now we're focusing on a different form. Okay? So that was good. Free.
Run.
Tap, tap, tap. Yep. There you go. That one forward. Good. Now what we're gonna do, that one was better. As I'm walking, you're actually gonna follow. Okay? So what can happen is, just like Ollie learned that you're gonna follow from me instead of literally running to you, is we will learn the distance of every time we get about 15 feet away, mom's gonna call me. Sort of breaking that pattern. You're just, as we start walking, you're gonna start to follow as well, so that we can cover more distance before you give that recall and move backwards. Does that make sense? You can run, 10 feet, 5 feet. We're just trying to switch up because you will learn after like 15 steps, mom's gonna call me, so we can start to break up the pattern. Okay? Free.
Come.
Yep.
Come.
There you go. Okay. Good. Better. Right. See how he's already anticipating?
Yeah.
So we're trying to like just make it so it's more so not so
Come.
natural pattern. There we go. Yeah. Good. Do a couple more.
See if this is on. Is it usually?
Could be from the power. Getting a little
I
frustrated.
got it.
Free.
Ricardo.
There we go. Better. That was good. Excellent. One more. We'll give him a little break. So that one I liked because when you said come and you tapped,
Yeah.
he turned away,
Yeah.
whereas the other 2 or 3, he kept kind of trying to follow me.
I feel like it's good that this dog was He didn't even go that way. He didn't even look that way. Stop.
He knows we're gonna go.
Yep.
Great.
Come.
Yep. Bring it. Yep. Yep. There you go. Good. So, that one was good too. A little confusion, but ultimately he turned because of the remoting. Okay. So that turn is super important because if he is chasing something or running away, if he doesn't have a quick turn, he's gonna be gone. Okay. So what would be like the next logical step from here? How am I moving right now?
Forward. Go backwards.
You're close. I'm walking forwards, walking away from you.
So
Keyword,
walk towards me.
keyword walking. So what will be the next thing? Yeah, running.
Oh.
Could be running. Yeah. Okay. Trying to make it more realistic, right? We're doing walking because walking is easier,
Yeah.
right? That and I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Once that gets very consistent, and you're like, yeah, no matter where we're walking towards, it's when I call them, it's immediate, right? So the next thing I go to is like, great, now let's start doing the running, because when a dog is moving, they're typically running, right? When he's chasing something, whatever, he's going to be running. That we have to build to that level, okay? So we're going to do a couple more with the walking, and then we'll start to do we'll do a couple with the running away to see how he does, okay? But usually I would practice this for a few days before going to that next degree, unless I can see like it's very evident the dog just gets it, then I progress to the next step. Okay. Free. Oh, I see. I grabbed your. gonna go this way.
Wait, we're walking this way?
Yeah.
Come.
Very good. Great. Yeah. Now we're in turn. Yeah. Like, hard you went for the day. I'm not that fast.
That's sprinting. Come.
Right. Good. So that when you saw that first tap,
Yeah.
how he shot forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just do a couple more.
Okay.
But yeah, that was good.
Okay.
So I'm just giving you the next step. If you see, like, if, you know, if you get the practice and then you're like, yeah, this is easy for him.
Yeah.
Then this is what you would do to progress.
Okay.
Right.
Come.
There we go. Yeah, because I can already see him, even though we're doing the movements and stuff, that he's starting to anticipate.
Come.
Very good. Excellent. So, heel.
Heel.
Let's see this dog. And stop. Very good. The crossing over stuff, have you seen that a lot?
No.
Just today?
Yeah.
Okay. Started that because earlier, I think the first time I had you do it, he was looking. I'm wondering if he's doing a super on this dog. No, but I mean, he definitely looks relaxed and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like the first time you did it, he like pivoted and looked that way, and the dog was over there running around. Okay. So, very simple exercise, just trying to build things to a much more realistic scale. But obviously, you need two people if you don't have anything within the environment.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions about any of this stuff?
No.
So when it comes to the training with the recall, you want to work in topics.
Okay.
So like the first thing we did was some sidestep stuff.
Right.
That was one thing. Okay. And then when we switched to this thing, I said, don't worry about the sidesteps anymore.
Okay.
Now we're just worried about getting them to turn quickly.
Yeah.
If you try to blend too many things all at once, like let's say you need them to return faster, let's say you need them to glue to you when you move, and need them to come when called when running away.
Yeah.
Those are three different things, right?
Okay.
Is if you try to push everything all within one session, it's just going to be sloppy with everything.
Yeah.
So instead, I like to take one thing, focus on that.
Yeah.
Once you feel that's good, and then you move on to your next thing, and then you move on to your next thing, okay? Main things to focus on are always the turn, which is what I was here with this moving away, more realistic because we're actively moving away from the handler.
Yeah.
But then also, I'm wanting to see him turn away from my side very quickly and easily once you give that recall command or you give that tap. Once I feel like that's consistent, then I can move to the next thing. So like the running part.
Do you think that, like let's say you were moving forward and I was on the side, you could throw it off? Or you think that would be like, you got this?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, you can switch it up however.
Okay.
That's why I was like trying to make different directions.
Yeah.
So then like the next thing after the running is if like let's say there was somebody that he, your sister, somebody that he's super comfortable with and he'll play with, then I'm running and playing with him and then you're doing the recall while we're playing. Okay? Like those are the steps. So I always give the clients like a couple things to work with. So if they show up and they're like, oh wow, my dog is very distracted, like use your environment then. Or if they go into an environment where it's empty but they have somebody to help them, then but we can still practice towards realistic application. Okay. Let me think here. Yeah, so the things we always want to focus on are the turnaround, the speed of the return, the gluing to you with the side steps, and then just recreating those movements. Okay. So pretty simple stuff. It's just a matter of setting the time, going to a place, and it always takes people the longest to do this because you have to go somewhere with space and distractions to work with. Okay, so I'm not too worried about how long this takes you. It's probably going to be a bit. Okay. questions about any of this? In terms of practicing, so I know you have the heel, the stay, the recall. I think we did down. Did we cover place? We did that. Okay.
Working on that. Because every time I come home from a walk and that's poor behavior, and me and my sister, she's finally on the same page as me now. Like, he needs to stay there for like 2 hours.
Sure.
So we talked